First up, a quick message from our biggest fan.
Hey everyone watching, have fun, enjoy, hopefully we'll put on a show. I'm just going to be exciting.
Alright, enough silliness, let's get this video started.
Pay driver, rich kid, daddy's boy. These are just some of the words bandied about when we see those drivers who've enjoyed a somewhat easy route into F1, all those driving for a Formula 1 team by bringing personal sponsorship. It's something that really triggers a lot of F1 fans because they think best of the best drivers should have the opportunity to drive in F1, or in the words of Toto Wolff, F1 is a meritocracy. Feels like the story behind most drivers seems to lack a real journey to make it the next Rush or blockbuster movie.
Hey, you look good, Nicky. The only guy to have his face burnt off and it be an improvement.
Whatever you think about well-connected and paid drivers, they're a huge part of the sport. Based on the current high number of drivers on the grid that have had a fairly easy route into F1, they aren't going anywhere. Out of all these drivers, which ones have made the most of it? Welcome to the F1 House. My name is Sakki, and I'm going to be discussing those drivers that very cleverly use personal relationships or sponsorships to make it to F1. Before we move on, if you're not subscribed to the F1 House YouTube channel, what are you doing to me? Hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, give this video a big thumbs up, make sure you like it. It really helps the channel out. To start with, I want to be clear, this is not me saying that any of the drivers on the grid don't have the talent to drive in F1, but there are some circumstances where we've all been left thinking, this geezer's probably so lucky to be driving in F1, he's had a fairly easy progression into the sport, or he must be bringing a ton load of sponsorship to the table. First up, we have paid drivers, and the first driver fitting into this category with some very odd sponsorship, we have Sergio Perez. The Mexican driver actually has two personal sponsors backing him, Telmex and Telsa. I'm pretty sure I pronounced that wrong, but hey ho. Telmex actually funded him for his first opportunity at Sauber back in 2011. If you're wondering who they are two telecommunication companies from, you guessed it, Mexico. Chuck in another telecommunications company, Claro, and that makes it a full set for the telecommunications god. In the past, Perez has also been sponsored by sunglasses brand Hawkers, but that ended when the company suggested in a tweet that the Mexicans buy a pair of shades to hide their tears when President-elect Donald Trump's border wall is constructed. Wow, did they actually say that publicly?
Contractor, no. I will not bow to any sponsor.
Very, very awkward for the company and the social media genius who thought that was a good idea. Moving on swiftly, we have Lance Stroll. The Canadian driver Lance Stroll made his debut in 2017 for Williams. It was reported at the time that his billionaire father stumped up a huge $80 million for his seat in F1 at the time. As well as his father's money, Lance Stroll is sponsored by companies such as Bombardier, the world's leading manufacturer for trains and planes. His pay driver status had always been debated, but his status was solidified when his father bought Racing Point, which was Lance's team at the time. If you're wondering, like I was, where Lawrence and Lance Stroll got all of their money, check out this video at the end where you'll find out all that information and find out how they got rich. Now those were two drivers that are well-known paid drivers. When we look at other types of drivers who you might look at and say, yes, you're a good driver, but definitely helps that you're well connected, mate. There are a few that spring to mind. For drivers that have utilized pre-existing relationships, we have Kevin Magnussen. He started his F1 career as part of the McLaren Young Drivers program, graduated into the F1C in 2014. After only 1 year with them, he went on to spend the rest of his career at Haas. What a lot of people don't know is that Kevin Magnussen's dad, Jan Magnussen, is actually a former F1 driver himself. He raced in 1995 and in the 1997 to 98 season for McLaren and Stewart, racking up 24 races and a very lonely one career point. He was a talented driver, but maybe F1 wasn't for him, but he did go on to secure two fourth place finishes in the 24-hour Le Mans race in 2003 and 2004. Based on his relationship with the iconic F1 name McLaren, I can imagine this would have been pretty helpful for his son Kevin, allowing him to join the McLaren Young Driver program and have a fairly long F1 career so far. Carlos Sainz Jr. He is the son of the former double World Rally champion Carlos Sainz. He won the World Rally Championship Drivers title with Toyota in 1990 and 1992 and finished runner-up 4 times. So as you can see, Carlos Sainz Jr.'s father is an extremely talented driver, and this talent has been passed on to his son. This has given him and his family financial reward, but more importantly, deep-rooted connections in the motorsport industry. Just to give you a few examples, the World Rally and Championship broadcasting rights used to be owned by Bernie Ecclestone, the former F1 owner, up until 2000 when Bernie was forced to sell up. So So the connections between Sainz Senior and the man at the very top of F1 were fairly easily made, allowing Sainz Junior to get a leg up into the sport. Another example is the fact that Red Bull have sponsored Sainz Senior teams in the past, so he will have also been familiar with the Red Bull setup. No doubt, Carlos Sainz Jr. has the talent to be a top driver. I mean, in the 2020 season, he's made a shock move from McLaren to Ferrari for the 2021 season after Ferrari revealed that Vettel would not be extending his contract. But it makes life a lot easier when you've got the funds there and that your dad is fairly pally with the owner of F1. Max Verstappen, the current Red Bull driver, announced himself onto the F1 scene aged just 17 at the 2015 Australian Grand Prix for Toro Rosso. But for me, it's not just the fact that he was fully driving the F1 car at the age of 17, which is impressive alone, it's the fact that he was actually the test driver for Toro Rosso the previous year. There are so many drivers that would literally sell their nan on eBay just for the opportunity to drive an F1 team, and Max Verstappen was given this opportunity without really proving himself, based purely on his future talent. So how did the 16-year-old become a test driver for an F1 team? His dad was Jos Verstappen, recording 102 race entries between 1994 and 2003, gaining 2 podiums in the process. This is quite a long time to be in F1, and he has built up a lot of relationships in the sport. And I mean, if you look at the way things have panned out for his son getting into the sport, long term, this early start to his F1 career will allow him to learn so much more and hopefully have an even greater period of success than most drivers. And we all know that Max Verstappen is an extremely talented young driver. It just goes to show you how much of an early advantage he's had by getting a very, very early seat in F1. And that just about finishes off the video, which I really hope you've enjoyed. Leave a comment down in the comment section below. I really want to hear your opinion. Until next time, everyone, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to ensure that you get all my latest videos.